Hello everyone. I wanted to do a comparison video for papers today. So as you know, I have moved to a hemlock and oak planner. I've been using it this year and continuing it next year, and I also have several other journals from hemlock and oak for my boys and for another one that I'm using to kind of craft my story. Anyways, a big shout out to at Ray Eldridge 8200, who recently watched one of my videos and commented about just the differences in the hemlock and oak paper. And I thought, you know what a great way to test and further test, because I already tested the 70 GSM hemlock and oak paper, which is what I have here, and then the 120 GSM paper is what I have in my current daily duo, which I'll show you. I did not rip any of the pages out. A big shout out to one of my fountain pen friend community members that had actually sent me a sample of several samples of the hemlock and oak 70 GSM Archivist paper. So this paper is supposed to be similar to Tomoe River paper in terms of like thinness. I think the Tomoe River actually is it says it's also 70 GSM, so it probably is the same thickness, but I always feel like the Tomoe River feels just a tad smoother and a bit thinner. But I mean, I'm not the one to say what one weight is versus the other. So this is the hemlock and oak Archivist 70 GSM. Again, a group that I'm in, a fountain pen friend member had sent me some samples. So we're going to test it on this, and then we're going to test it on my Heritage 120 GSM hemlock and oak paper that's in my daily duo. So some of the supplies, so typically in my journals, I'm really using light watercoloring with Caran d'Aches or a really light watercolor with brushes and stuff. Maybe some fountain pen ink, maybe some stickers and washies. Like, it's very, I would say, like light usage. But Ray Eldridge 8200 had asked about how it holds up to mixed media or heavier mixed media. And so while this isn't, the heaviest of everything I could throw at it, I did decide to just do what I would do if I was to go a bit heavier on the mixed media side of things in my art journal or on this paper. So the process that you see here will be that, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts afterwards. But I just want to go through the supplies I use so that you would know. So I used a stencil. This is just, I don't even know where I got this from. It is a cardboardy kind of stencil, cardstock type stencil. I used nori paste. I find nori paste typically, because it's a wet media, it will sort of like crinkle the paper depending on the paper quality itself. So we'll see how that holds up. Posca marker. We have some stencil, I don't know, gel, I think. Stencil paste. There you go. And then we have some acrylic paint, some gloss sprays. I find these gloss sprays, honestly, they kind of suck because they always get clogged up, but I'm also too frugal to throw them away because the paint inside is still good. So they're great for mixed media, for adding, layers. The way that I use these, they literally will last me for the rest of my life. But they're great. You can even use them for painting, like pour them out a little bit and use them to paint. But I usually just use them. I'll shake it up. I'll take out the little wand thing and I'll just sort of like flick the paint, or like just use the wand. It's not a wand, it's like the spray, whatever the tube is, I guess it's called. And I just use it to like rub it all over the place or whatever. So that's sort of how I use those. And then I have a heat gun because I used it to speed up the dry time, because otherwise it would have taken a long time between the different layers. So first off, let me show you the paper itself. So again, like I had mentioned, this is the 70 GSM Archivist hemlock and oak paper. It's fantastic paper. And you can see this is my hemlock and oak daily duo that comes with 120 GSM paper. And in this light, they don't look very different at all. I would say the 70 GSM is just a slightly creamier, I guess, color, if you will, but it's still fairly white. Again, you can hardly tell the difference in the coloring, just slightly. So that's the two paper types. So before I begin and show you the final result, I just want to show you a test page that I had done in the hemlock and oak Archivist paper. And I'm just going to move you a little bit closer here so you can see the thingies. So this is again the tipped in Hemlock and Oak 70 GSM paper. I threw everything at. I threw Tombos, I threw gel pens, I threw fountain pens, Stabilo bosses. They're like the highlighter type of markers, I guess. Sailor markers, Ohuhu markers, zebra mound liners, Karandashes with water, watercolor paint. I threw in a fountain pen, fountain pen ink with a sketch, and so you can see that it's a bit. You can hear the crinkliness, which I love. Absolutely love that sound. And you can see that it, I mean, because it's been squished in between pages now, it's fairly flat, but it does have a little bit of character to it, I would say. And so, but you can see like it's held up amazing. Like this is the 70 GSM again. You can see that it has, from the pen and the markers, barely any ghosting or bleeding, like literally like none outside of the stamp. So I would say this ink, if I have it within grasp, which I do not. So the VersaFine, so it's this one here, the VersaFine Pigment for Fine Details, the black onyx or onyx black. It does bleed through. It bleeds and it goes very heavily, and that's just how it is. And you know what? I'm okay with it because I use it fairly sparingly. But it held up great. So let me show you the final result. All right, so here is the final result. You can see this is again the 120 GSM. You can see hopefully the paper is a little bit warped, but not much. There's slight bleed through. You can see from here and from here. That's just from the acrylic paint. But otherwise it's held up really, really well. Aside from some crinkling and stuff, but pretty good, not bad. And then contrast it with the 70 GSM. And you can see it's starting to curl a little bit. This paper is thinner, so I expected it to curl a little bit. So let's just pull it off and see it closer up. I don't know about you, but it's always satisfying for me when I peel the painter's tape off and nothing rips and it just comes off nice and smooth. It's like a dream. All right, so here's the 70 GSM Archivist Hemlock and Oak paper. You can see that it has also held up. It also has gotten a bit crinkly because of the wet media. So I would say, like, if you're doing heavy mixed media on this paper, I would be prepared to either not use it for writing on the back side, and you can also do another collage on it or something. But it does hold up very well to mixed media. You can see that it does quite well. Same with compared with the 120 GSM Heritage paper. They both have held up very well. There's minimal ghosting and bleed through, as you can see in the back of the 70 GSM. And again, on the 120, you can see some bleeding of the paint. And that's just where some of the heavier spots where it's sat for longer sort of saturated through. But overall, I mean, I'm thrilled with this. I also ended up creating some art that looks fairly decent. I'm not a mixed media specialist, but I do like to dabble in it. But I do find it always a challenge because it's not quite how my brain works or thinks. It always feels very chaotic to me, and I never really know how to start or where to start. But it usually ends up with something, and you know, it's a learning and growth process. But I feel like mixed media also is very freeing. So I don't know, if you give it a try, give it a whirl. But this is what the end result is. So I'm pretty happy with it. Let me know your comments on what you think and whether you would invest in a hemlock and oak. I hope you do. They are wonderful, wonderful planners. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.